I got a new coffee cup for Father's Day, and I thought you guys would like to see this. All right, let's talk about Jerick McKinnon's contract details, Tyreek Hill receiving death threats from his podcast episode, Mahomes' name needing to stay out of some people's mouths, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, aka King Kong Redbeard, or sometimes known as the red-bearded guru of the gridiron. I can't keep a straight face sometimes. These nicknames are wild. And I do daily news about the Chiefs and the NFL overall, so I'm going to need you to sub if you're new, hit that like button if you, like me, love coffee and Kansas City barbecue, and let's get into this video. Feedback was strongly positive from many of you yesterday about me starting another YouTube channel covering big picture NFL news, so maybe a few days a week, that's going to be happening. I'm just trying to figure out a channel name right now, so any ideas you have, shoot them my way. I'm still processing through them all. And someone suggested recently maybe get the channel down to about 2 or 3 names and take a community vote. So we'll see about that. I also wanted to let you all know that my wife and I are getting away this weekend for our 9-year wedding anniversary. So I made a community post yesterday. Ba-boom. You can see it up on the screen right now, asking for questions because I'm going to be doing a couple Q&A videos this weekend rather than my typical daily vids. I don't think the streak is going to get broken, but I'm not going to be working this weekend or filming any videos. I'll be spending time with my wife, so I'm going to do Q&A vids for this weekend. Hope that is okay. But questions that you have, go to that community post, ask them. I will answer as many as I can in those videos. So enough of all that. Let's get it going with today's news. I want to show you a photo that I saw, which was taken exactly 52 years ago as of yesterday, and it shows the infant stages of Arrowhead Stadium 26 months before opening. And that is a pretty wild thing to think about and look back on. 52 years ago, my dad was -3 years old. So he wasn't born yet. So a lot has happened in my life over the past 52 years. That is for sure. Then I want you to take a look at this. PFF released their projected passing yard leaders for the 2022 and 2023 NFL season. And here you go. They have Justin Herbert at 4,707 yards, then Josh Allen at 4,768 yards, Matthew Stafford at 4,769, just one more yard than Josh Allen. Mahomes is in second at 4,801 yards. And then Tom, the old man, but the GOAT, Brady, is at 5,046 yards. Part of me is wondering how the heck they're guessing this. I'm sure they're using some smart little formula that I am not intelligent enough to understand, but this is also 4 of the 5 passing leaders from last season. So it's not that groundbreaking, but still interesting to note. I will say this, Derek Carr was a top 5 passing leader last season, but got removed by PFF from this year's list. So I'm pretty cool with that. But to be truthful, he now has Devontae Adams. So I'm not really sure how his numbers are going to dip or decline here. As much as I trash Derek Carr, half of it's in good fun. The other half is because he plays for the Raiders. He's probably going to put up some decent yards this year, if we're going to be honest. From here, let's take a look at Jerick McKinnon's contract details, as I believe they were released yesterday. He signed a 1-year, $1,272,500 deal with a base salary and cap hit of just over $1 million. So it's not really too much different than his contract last year, which was actually barely under $1 million. Basically a very team-friendly veteran deal. So I do like that, and something else I also like to do is stock stories from other players on the team and give you updates about them all. So let's take a look at some of them from yesterday. This photo is actually, I believe, a couple weeks old, but George Karlaftis shared this yesterday of him hanging out with Max Crosby and Josh Allen, not the Buffalo Bills guy, if you can't tell by the skin color, the other Josh Allen. Anyway, this was taken at Von Miller's Pass Rush Summit. So there you go. Justin Reid is somewhere attending a wedding. I hope he had a little bit of nice cake. Juan Thornhill is out here letting us know that in himself is greatness. Someone said the Tyrann Mathieu 2.0 or something like that, and he said, no, I'm going to be my own player. Juan Thornhill 2.2. I like how it's 2.2, whatever that means. Juju is still in a very beautiful place with his family. Then he shared a clip of him wrecking someone in this giant bubble, which wasn't taken yesterday, but it's still fun to watch regardless. Jody Fortson is standing there looking way over to his right. I mean, he is looking so far over to his right, he needs to be careful with his neck. Shane Buechele pedaled 5.5 miles on a stationary bike, and then Mahomes is still out here traveling the 17 seas with his family, enjoying the downtime before an insane season starts up, which I'm all the way turned up for already, but it could partially be because I just chugged a cold brew right before filming. Either way, I'm amped up. But did you know that some people seem to think it is not okay for athletes, or in particular Patrick Mahomes, to enjoy his life a bit during the offseason? I mean, part of me thinks I should give this guy zero airtime because this is from Kevin Kietzman. I think that's how you say his name. Either way, I don't really care. This is the guy who got fired from 810 Sports back in 2019 after being there for almost 22 years for saying some pretty wild stuff about Andy Reid and his family, which I'm not going to repeat, and which, of course, Kevin himself said was misconstrued and taken out of context. Either way, he got fired, so bye-bye. But he still has his own cute little podcast with some local sponsors and stuff like that. And this was brought to my attention yesterday by a source who will remain anonymous. I have little birds flying all throughout the city at this point in time. But this was a couple weird comments made that Kevin made. And Kevin is a funny name to me because that was the name of my childhood friend's pet hamster. Anyway, he said this about Mahomes in his offseason training.
I've seen nothing this offseason to lead me to believe that Patrick Mahomes has been dedicated to getting in great shape. Nothing. We've seen the excess at his wedding. We saw him get drunk on national TV playing golf. We've watched him courtside at NBA games. He flies off in his Learjet. Could he get a great workout in that day and get on his jet and go to a Mavericks game? Of course he can. Is that what he's doing? I don't know.
Exactly, bud. You don't know at all, actually. I mean, how can you say you've seen no evidence, zero goose egg evidence of Mahomes working on getting in great shape this offseason? Do you live in his guest bedroom and podcast from his living room? Were you there with him and the receiving crew in Texas for a month? Oh, what about with him and Bobby Stroop when they've been training? What about in the Chiefs gym, OTAs, mandatory minicamp? I'll answer that for you. No, you were not there. Sure, he got married, went to some basketball games, played some golf, but is he not allowed to have a life? Or should he simply remain in the gym 24/7, neglecting his family just so he can do things that are pleasing in your little eyes?
I think at some point that will happen. I think at some point we will look at Mahomes and go, wow, look what he did this offseason, and look at him now. I think that will happen. I do not think it will be this year. There, that's a prediction.
Well, thank you for your prediction, Kevin. We are all very grateful. And sadly, guys, he's not done here, as he goes on to say Mahomes doesn't yet seem to take things serious enough, seemingly failing to realize the situation that he's been in the last 4 years, and then kind of rambles on about the window of opportunity getting harder and harder in the AFC and blah, blah, blah.
I don't think he understands the opportunity that's been missed. 4 consecutive games in your stadium in the AFC title game and 1 Super Bowl ring is not very good.
Well, let me ask you a question, Kevin. How many Super Bowl rings do you have? I'm going to assume that answer is a big fat goose egg. So please be quiet and away with you and your cute little podcast. And it looks like we are staying on the podcast train for a bit here because Tyreek Hill dropped episode 2 of his podcast yesterday or the day before, one of those. But this episode brought some, in my opinion at least, much needed clarity to a couple of things. First off, Tyreek's agent was not featured showing his entire family climbing around a moving vehicle on the highway with no seatbelts on. But also because Drew Rosenhaus wasn't there, I felt like the energy was completely different, more reflective, more respectful. So that's worth noting. But Tyreek said last week was a very crazy week for him. As we all know, he faced a lot of scrutiny, mainly because he did it to himself, saying some pretty crazy things.
You know, all the media, they went crazy, the craze fans, the people jumping in our DMs talking crazy, right?
Man, by the way, I got death threats.
Crazy.
From every social media that I own, every social media account I own, I got death threats on.
Insane.
Which is ridiculous, which I love it, you know.
Right.
So that clip was something very interesting. Why are people issuing this man death threats over what he said? There's some real freaking weirdos out there, man. And second, why on earth would Tyreek say he loves the fact that he's getting death threats? Heck nah, bro. That stuff is not funny, man. Not one bit. Anyway, Tyreek then explained why he said some of the things he did last episode.
Robert Griffin III, RG3, he tweeted something about what I said. All Tyreek is doing is just putting confidence into his quarterback, which is all I'm doing.
Okay, I get that, but you don't have to put down Patrick in order to elevate Tua. Whether or not that was Tyreek's intention, to me at least, that's certainly how it came off. Even so, Tyreek is human, like all of us, including myself. Not a bearded alien. Sorry to disappoint. But us humans will never do or say things perfectly. He does really have a lot of respect for the Chiefs organization, and again reiterated how hard it was to truly leave Kansas City.
It's tough leaving a situation like we had in Kansas City. It's tough, bro.
Right.
Then you got 1-5, arguably the best quarterback in the league, top 2, and he not 2, bro. Like,
right.
Then you got TK, Travis Kelce. Then you got one of the best head coaches in the league, bro. It's all love from the Cheetah.
Right.
You know, from Clark Hunt, to Brett Veach, to Andy Reid, to from the whole roster. Like, it's tough to leave a situation like that, man. So, man, I'm just thinking 15 years from now.
Right.
20 years from now.
And he goes on to say he was thinking that far ahead for his kids, his family, and securing their future. Because of this, he said his senior year of high school, they lived that entire year with his mom and grandparents without electricity because they could not afford to pay the bill. But Tyreek was playing football, had a really good feeling the sport would take him places that would allow him to forever take care of his family. So he told his mom he was coming back with money after college and making sure they never had to live like that again. And he freaking did it. So seriously, way to go after it, man. I love come up stories like that. He then shared an interesting story about how John Dorsey was his biggest fan, and when Tyreek went to visit the Chiefs prior to the draft, they immediately hit it off, and Dorsey said, "I'm going to draft you. You can ball, and I love the energy you're going to bring to this organization." And well, draft him he did. Man of his word, I appreciate that. But Tyreek did say that after Dorsey left, him and Veach were cool with each other, yes, but they never quite hit it off like him and Dorsey did, and he thinks that could have played a role in negotiations a bit. But either way, it's water under the bridge now, or whatever the term is called, because he's with the Dolphins. From there, Tyreek then sheds a bit more light on how much respect he has for Mahomes and how much he cares about him.
Where are you taking a shot at Patrick Mahomes?
No. Here's why I never take a shot at Patrick Mahomes. I feel like football isn't bigger than life. Me and Patrick can't play this game forever. There will be a time that I need to call my brother. That's the way I look at it. I'll never take a shot at my brother, man. Why would I do that? Like, me and him had a connection. Probably, I feel like, top 15 greatest connections of all time, probably. I'd never break up, what me and him had.
So there you go, a totally different vibe and energy from Tyreek this week, and potentially because his agent was not there, or because maybe he did feel he overstepped last podcast and want to do correct course and clear the air, if you will. What are your thoughts on today's segments? Anything particular stand out to you, upset you, excite you? Are you, like me, glad that Tyreek at least cleared the air a bit here in his recent podcast? He can't take that bad look of a first episode back, but hey, the second one was definitely better. Either way, let me know in the comments down below, and let's fight about it down there like toddlers throwing tiny tantrums. From there, I want to take a look at a couple comments from yesterday, especially this one, because I have my first sponsor for my new NFL channel that I'll be starting. Eric Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg's cousin, sponsored the show for $2, saying to trust my instincts, but don't forget the original Fellowship of the Ring Skinny Gimli. Dude, these nicknames are getting wild. Love it. Old Navy sent over $5 saying thanks. And to that, I want to say, you're freaking welcome. Some of you have noticed that I haven't been answering as many comments lately at the end of my video, and it's because it's pretty time consuming to do so, and I've been opting instead to provide a bit more content of Chiefs news and stuff like that in my videos right now, and save longer forms of comment answering when I simply run low on more important news, which is going to happen in July. Do not worry. I'm still going to be trolling people at the end of my videos. Have no fear. Make sure to leave a comment to be featured in my next video, maybe at the end in comments or in the intro if you mention something about my beard. Sub for more daily news like this, and then check out this video here, which is the full episode of Tyreek's newest podcast episode. A pretty good listen in my opinion. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?